It is my book named New Stalinism. It authored Franz Said and back my credit. Visit amazon.co.uk. Authored Franz Said book New Stalinism. You'll find it on the internet. So this is the book reading 6 and chapter is 14. God's tribal reflection. The God's tribal reflection, it is under subtitles. Their subtitles are 12. 12 subtitles of this chapter 14. First subtitle is God is shy to face the questions. Then the second subtitle, then the Arabs would not have believed in Quran. Third subtitle is ignorance is not the proof of something. Subtitle 4, the whole earth full of gold would be accepted. Subtitle 5, faces will be blackened. Subtitle 6, God will surely die. Subtitle 7, God is the real enemy of all knowledge and sciences. Subtitle 8, God who at night takes your soul out of your body and makes you dead while sleeping. Chapter 9, we the God give you the drink out of which is in their bellies, that is from dung and blood. Subtitle 10, see the donkey. Subtitle 11, God needs our help. Subtitle 12, God by himself is a guilty conscience. So these are the 12 subtitles, and book reading is now I start book reading. That is chapter 14, God's tribal reflection. Subtitle 1 is God is shy to face the questions. Para 1, Surah 2, verse 108. Would you put questions to Muhammad as Moses was questioned before? God is shy to face the questions. God is afraid whether we might not be able to answer the criticism because God by himself is not sure about the truths of his case which he is pleading. In this above said verse, in a way, he, the God, is discouraging the common man better not to ask any question to Muhammad the way they had earlier asked the Moses, whereas the questions and criticism are the most essential part of any debate to find and filter the truth out, from which God is truly allergic and is shy too. God of Muhammad thinks that miracles which happened in the time of Moses were a reality, but the facts are altogether different. The lives of Moses and Jesus are mythical. There is absolutely no reality in the stories which are narrated about Moses or Jesus in the Bible. These are all fake ones. Muhammad was born in recent history, so God thought my fake prophet Muhammad might not be asked to perform the same feats of jugglery as Moses or Jesus were doing in the past. So it is better to hush up the common people, better not to expect from Muhammad something magic like or jugglery like, which of course Muhammad was not capable of doing. Muhammad was just a common man. He was not a magician like Jesus or Moses. All stories about Moses and Jesus are legendary and extremely foolish stories has been narrated in Bible. Para 1 Surah 2 verse 74, that even after that your hearts were hardened and became as stones, or worse than stones in hardness. For indeed there are stones from out of which rivers gush, and indeed there are stones which fall down for the fear of God. Allah is not unaware what you do. In the above said verse, Allah thinks that water is secreted by some stones. Allah is destitute of knowledge that how rain water goes into the earth and it is gathered somewhere and again comes out in the shape of a fountain. Para 13, Surah 13, verse 15. And unto Allah falleth prostrate whosoever is in the skies and the earth, willingly or unwillingly, and their shadows also bow and prostrate before God. God, in fact, does not know what is a shadow. It is the blockage of light due to the presence of some object. God thinks that shadow is something independent object than that of the body from which it is caused. Verse 31. Had it been possible that under the impact and influence of the verses of the Quran, mountains move and earth to be torn asunder, or the dead to speak, nay, but Allah is the sole command. So not those who believe know that, but had Allah willed, he could have guided all mankind. As for those who disbelieve, disaster ceaseth not to strike them. Yet I believe the above said verse because such a big lie the Quran, God has spoken to men that all the generations will remain under the impact of that deceit. It is awful act of God due to the great cruelty and injustice done to the human generations. Earth will be torn asunder and mountains will move because the universe has never experienced a betrayal on such a colossal scale. Subtitle 2. Then the Arabs would not have believed the Quran. Para 19, Surah 26, verse 198. The God would have revealed the Quran to some non Arabs, Ajmis. Verse 199. Then the Arabs would not have believed the Quran. God by himself is suspicious about his own book. He claims to be all authoritative, the creator of all the skies and earth. He is afraid from Arabs that they themselves would not have believed the Quran if God would have sent his message to some non Arabs. The frailty of God is quite obvious and visible here in this verse. He has shown his real face as weak and fragile. Who was afraid from Arabs? He was afraid, who was afraid from Arabs that they might not have believed the verses of the Quran. Subtitle 3. Ignorance is not the proof of something. Para 12, Surah 11, verse 14. O the Muslims, if they are not able to answer your questions, then understand and be clear that the Quran is the revelation of God. And suppose if they answer your questions, then of course the Quran is not the revelation of God. So in my book, I have answered each and every question of Muslim. So it is meant that the Quran is not a book of revelation and is thus false. Suppose if I would not have answered the questions of Muslims, even then it does not mean that the Quran is the book of God or a revealed book, because ignorance is not the proof of something. God has to prove his existence with the help of his own independent evidence, which should not be conditioned by the illiteracy of idolaters. Para 3, Surah 4, verse 258. Bethink thee of him who had an argument with Ibrahim about his Lord, because Allah had given him the kingdom. Oh, when Ibrahim said, my Lord is he who gives life and causeth death. He said, I give life and cause death. Abraham said, lo, Allah causeth the sun to rise in the east. So do thou cause it to come up from the west. Thus was the disbeliever abased, and Allah guideth not the wrongdoing folk. Abraham was telling to the idolaters by presuming that it was his God who caused the sun to rise from the east. On the said premises, Ibrahim challenged the idolaters that if you are true, then cause the sun to rise from the west. Prophet Ibrahim had the right to argue in this way only. If in the end of the discourse he would have called his God to pass through the same test. Now it is your turn, God, to prove your worth by causing the sun to rise from the west. Suppose myself if I say that I cause the sun to rise from the east. If there is any God, he must prove his existence by causing the sun to rise from the west. Then surely no God is going to accept my challenge in order to prove his existence. So Abraham's argument with idolaters is all futile and foolish, destitute of reason or wit. Para 17, Surah 22, verse 73. O the mankind, they cannot create a fly. If the fly snatches something from you, you cannot take it back from it. God is ignorant about the vigor of modern man and sciences. We can take electrons and protons out of an atom. We can change the genes and can make a new creation altogether. We can clone your prophets. We can make 1,000 Muhammads by taking the hair or nail of the Muhammad. Yet God, your mind is stuck and stationed in the old tribal age. Wake up now. Fly is too big for us. Now it is easy for us to take all the things back from the fly. However, if the scientists are challenged that they cannot create something new or they cannot make matter, then the same challenge can be reverted back towards God. Yet we have got no final proof that even God by himself has created any new thing. The evidence that God created matter is still not under observation. It is just presumed that God has made the matter. Para 17, Surah 22, verse 65. He is the God who keeps on holding the skies, whether it might not fall on the earth. Para 19, Surah 26, verse 187. Then make a piece of the sky to fall upon us, if thou art of truthful. Para 23, Surah 36, verse 80. Who God had appointed for you fire from the green tree, behold, ye kindle from it. For God's sky is like a roof made of concrete or stones, which can fall on the floor named earth and can cause great destruction. Absolutely, God has got no knowledge that sky is the other name of the empty depth of space. God does not know about the laws of friction from where the fire comes. He thinks fire comes from the green trees. Para 27, Surah 57, verse 9. Till he was distant 2 bows' length or even nearer. Para 22, Surah 34, verse 12. And unto Solomon we God gave the winds whereof the morning course was a month's journey, and evening course of a month's journey, and we God caused the fountains of copper to gush for him, and jinn who worked for him. Here, God is unaware about the units of length or speed. There are different bows of different lengths. We cannot assess the real distance from the measures of bows. We cannot assess the speed by traveling a month, whether the traveling was by riding horse or a camel. What was the speed of that horse per hour? God is completely ignorant and illiterate. Again, God skipped and jumped from one context to another. God is discreet and whimsical by his nature. Para 27, Surah 56, verse 69. It is ye who shed the rain from a cloud, or are we the shedder? Verse 70. If we the God willed, we verily could make it rainwater salty. Why then ye give me no thanks? Verse 71. Have you observed the fire which we God give you from the tree? God, in the above said verses, threatened us to make rainwater salty. He thinks salty or bitter or sweet fresh water are qualities of water. God has got no idea that the water which is evaporated is always pure. It cannot carry salt with it in the clouds. God thinks that He has made seawater salty and bitter, but for the kind information to God, in the beginning, when seas and oceans first came into existence, the water of ocean was not salty, it was fresh water. But by the passage of time, with each circle of water, salt was added in the seas, as rivers were bringing the salt by mixing minerals in their water. Slowly, the concentration of salt increased in the seawater because water evaporates, leaving behind the salt. That evaporated water again falls on the ground in the form of rain, which is again mixed with the minerals of the earth, which rivers again pour them in the seas. So, through each cycle of water, the concentration of minerals and salts increases in the seas. Presently, the scientists are able to tell the age of oceans by estimation of salt concentration in seas. Tribal God is completely ignorant of these facts. Subtitle 4. The whole of the earth full of gold would not be accepted. Para 4, Surah 3, verse 91. Those who disbelieve and die in disbelief, the whole earth full of gold would not be accepted from such one if it is offered as a ransom for his soul. There will be a painful doom, and they will have no helpers. Para 6, Surah 5, verse 35. As for those who disbelieve, lo, if all the treasures which are in the earth were theirs, and as much as two times than that, if they pay that as ransom to, to make themselves free from the doom on the day of resurrection, it would not be accepted from them, and there will be painful doom for them. Above verses are the reflection of bribe psychology ingrained in the mind of God. The idea about the transaction of God triggers many a ransom as bribe for the acquittal of souls in the next word is such a petty, mean, and low argument extended in on the part of God. Though this very idea has also been borrowed by the Quran from the destitute, the Bible. In the next word, there is nothing material, presumably the other word, if possibly it existed. It would only thought to be a spiritual word where only the souls, the angels, the Satan, and God would have the permission to reside in. God, in his greed, started to speak in terms of gold and money, bargaining, which means God has the ideas about treasures and gold and money even there in the next word. After the death of a man, from where he is going to bring material wealth to pay to God as bribe for his freedom in order to evade punishment. This argument proves the fact that the Quran is not a book of God and it lacks the very initial sense of wisdom. This verse exposes God as fraudulent in his very frame and texture. Surah 3, verse 93. All food was unlawful unto the children of Israel, save that which Israel forbade himself in days before the Torah was revealed. Say, produce the Torah and read it unto us if you're truthful. On the part of God, it is not comprehensive to say to them, produce Torah and read it before us. God is saying, as He is sitting before us on a big chair, and we are able to approach Him in order to produce our evidence and plead our case to get His final decision or judgment, which is without any sense at all. Subtitle 5, Faces Will Be Blackened. Para 4, Surah 3, verse 106. On the day when some faces will be whitened and some faces will be blackened, and as for those whose faces have been blackened, it will be said unto them, disbelieved ye after your believing, then taste the punishment after that what you disbelieved. God innately and psychologically believes in discrimination and has the natural hatred against black people and is impressed by the white skin. It reflects the Arab psychology of God that some faces will be blackened. It means here in this word, even God has given black faces to many people. It means that all of them are sinful. Chapter subtitle 6, God will surely die. Para 4, Surah 3, verse 168. Avert death from yourself if you are truthful. Implied meanings of this verse are that truthful people can avert death from themselves. This argument, if God is strange and senseless, even the prophets of God were not able to avert death from their own selves. It means all of them were not truthful. Anything which is born must die. Death is a phenomena which is true from the world of bacteria to those of stars. The shadow of death is spread all over the existence. All the material things undergo a process of change. A new face with the new change is the death of the old. However, God will also die soon with the victory of sciences. God will surely die when there will be not a single individual left on this earth who will believe in the existence of God. That will be the day of the death of God. Even if God had been there, he would die with shame on the face of humiliation extended to him, that not even a single soul now believed him, and his holy books are buried in the grave, all exposed to the highest degree of mockery. That will also be the day of freedom and human emancipation from a fatal disease of religion. Subtitle 7, God is the real enemy of knowledge and sciences. Para 24, Surah 39, verse 49. When the man is in some pain or problem, he starts calling me, the God, for help. And when we God award him with our blessing and his torture or pain is averted, then he begins to say that this blessing which came to him is due to his own knowledge, which is not as he thinks. This is a kind of test which people cannot understand. God wanted to say, demolish all the hospitals, burn the medical books, and hang all the doctors. Trust only God who cures you. God is a great conspirator. He sends plagues and rain of frogs and vermins on the innocent people of the Egypt, and then he expects from us that all the doctors should be killed. All those who save us from the cruel hands of God. What a cunning God he is. Subtitle 8. God who at night takes your soul out of your body and makes you dead while sleeping. Para 7, Surah 6, verse 60. God who at night takes your soul out of your body and makes you dead, and note that which you commit by the day, then he raiseth you again to life when the day returns. While we are sleeping, our heart beats, we breathe, and our blood circulates. Yet God is of the view that He makes us dead during our sleep. Whether God knows about the fact that human pulse and beating of the heart is the other name of life, He is a blind God with Stone Age rituals and beliefs. Subtitle 9. We, the God, give you the drink out of that which is in their bellies, that is from dung and blood. Para 14, Surah 16, verse 5. And he, the God, had created cattle for you. You get warm clothes and get other uses, and whereof you eat them. Verse 6. 6. It is your honor and grandeur when you take them to the forest for grazing and then return to home. home accompanied with other with those cattle. Verse 7, and your cattle take a load of your luggage for you unto a land where you could not reach without them, save with great trouble to you. Lo, your Lord is full of pity and merciful for you. Verse 8, and for you he the Lord has created the horses, the mules, and asses, that you may ride them. This like ornament and decoration for you, and he created for you which you know not. We must take our ornaments and decorations and let them graze in the Manhattan Park of New York. Instead of car parking in New York, there should be camel parking. That will be the true mercy of our God for us. Our ornaments and decorations must walk on the roads of the New York. So the Americans must come to know the favor done to us by the merciful God who is full of pity for us. Verse 66, and lo, in the cattle there is a lesson for you. We, God, give you the drink out of that which is in their bellies, that is from dung and blood. We make pure milk for you. And God made milk from dung in cattle. I think God had made mother's milk of human beings from her shit and urine. Para 23, Surah 36, verse 71. Whether did they see or not that we, God, have created for men with my own hands, I have made cattle for them, and we, God, made cattle soft, so some of them may ride cattle and eat them. Thanklessness, God, thanklessness taught by God. First ride them, then drink their milk, after that slaughter them to eat their meat. Subtitle 10, See the Donkey. Para 3, Surah 2, verse 259. See the donkey, how we God joined its bones and then dressed it with flesh. Para 30, Surah 88, verse 17. You did not see how we, the God, created the camel. How strange. God has made a donkey for us with a donkey's wit, and he made a camel in his own image. It is claimed by God and the Quran that this message of the Quran is forever eternal for all the coming ages and generations, which is falsified by his verses, the verses which reflect the tribal thought only. When God says that it is our grandeur when we make when we take mules and asses cattle for grazing. He further tells us that all these animals he had made for us when we ride on them, they are like ornaments. Tribal gods' arguments look so odd and strange while presently we travel in such impressive cars and aeroplanes. In New York, Manhattan, we must park our camels where they park their cars. The Quran is the reflection of ancient caveman psychology. In modern times, the Quran has not only lost its validity, but the words of God presently are the objects of mockery for us. Yet, some people believe that Quran can be accepted as true for all the ages to come. Para 23, Surah 38, verse 10. Or is the kingdom of skies and the earth and all that is in between them is theirs? Then let them ascend to the skies through their ropes. Para 7, Surah 6, verse 35. If you have got the authority, then place a staircase up to the skies or make holes, deeper caves in the earth. In the above said verses, God is addressing us to us sarcastically and extending his challenge to us to ascend to skies with ropes or put a staircase in the skies, as he had seen somebody climbing the skies through ropes or with staircase. It is highly illogical and childish to say, as what God has said, that you climb up the skies by ropes. It is very strange and odd argument on the part of tribal God. Even then, we are able to inform God to his astonishment that presently we have set our staircase case to the skies, and we have climbed to your skies with roofs. As per Holy Scripture, you have pasted your stars on the first sky, and your moon is in the fourth sky. We have conquered your moon with its fourth sky. We have made holes in your three skies in order to reach your fourth sky, and that is moon. Para 16, Surat 18, verse 105. Those are they who disbelieve in the revelations of their Lord and in the meeting with Him. Therefore, their good acts are lost, and on the day of resurrection, we God assign no weight to them. Again, God appears to be very corrupt and dishonest while threatening that if you don't believe the phantom of God, then all of your good acts will be lost. This is the sense of justice and fair play on the part of God. God did not even God did not have any of the ideas of justice or goodness, just he believes in his own self assertion. These are highly selfish, corrupt, and polluted ideas on the part of God Almighty. While he underestimated all the good acts, the Quran has also borrowed his verses from his destitute, the Bible. Para 20, Surah 28, verse 73. And with his God's own seal, he had made day and night for you, night so that you may rest and seek his bounty, and then admit the truth. How the earth rotates and how the fall day and night falls on us. God has absolutely no idea about that. God, while residing in the territory of Arabia, was not able to know that the polar regions of the earth are also there, and night and day are of 6 months. God must also know that east and west are not universal concepts. These are only the relation of earth rotation and the stationary sun. God must know that earth has no ends, and it does not have four corners. It is a rounded ball. God must also know that there lies no distance between east and west. Each particle of the earth in relation to the sun has got its own east and its own west. The moment you leave the surface of the earth, the concept of east and west vanishes away. Subtitle 11, God's Need Our Help. God needs our help. Para 17, Surah 22, verse 40. Verily Allah helped one who helped Allah. In this verse, we are able to see the face of the real God. In fact, God is nothingness. He is in need of our help to obey Him or to believe Him. Otherwise, He is just nothingness. That is the reason God is bargaining with us to help Him by putting our belief in Him, and in return, He will also help us. What a miserable creature this God is. God needs our help. The biggest proof is that God by Himself takes the oath of those worldly things which He falsely claims that He had created them. God Almighty swears very lowly. Para 30, Surat 84, verse 16. O we the gods swear by the afterglow of the sunset. Para 27, Surat 52, verse 1. We gods swear by the Mount Tur. Verse 2. We God swear by the Quran. Verse 3. We God swear by the houses with living people. Verse 5. We God swear by the high roof. Verse 7. Lo, the doom of the Lord will surely come to pass. Surah 85, verse 1. We God swear by the sky having domes. God swears by the city of Makkah. He swore by Adam and his offspring, swore by the sun and the moon, swore by day and night, by fig tree, by olive, and swore by the snorting, running horses. For what God is swearing, nobody knows what complexes are in the mind of God, that He is feeling so guilty, that He is swearing the things which are thought to be His own creation. Normally, oaths are taken of the things which in our minds are too high or elevated, renowned, or revered in relations to our own lowly, on in relation to our own lower status of position. Belief in witchcraft, ghosts, prophets, angels, gods, and holy scriptures are nothing more than dreams, the fantasy of the false. Subtitle 12. God by himself is guilty conscious. God is guilty conscious about his fake verses, as his psychology is depicted in the following verses of the Quran. Bara 5, Surah 4, verse 113. Allah had revealed unto you a book, the Quran, that is of wisdom, and taught you the ideas which you did not earlier or you did not know earlier or before. Para 7, Surah 6, verse 25. They come unto thee to argue with thee, Muhammad. The disbelievers say that the Quran is just nothing. It is all the tales taken from the older people. Para 12, Surah 12, verse 3. We God narrate unto thee, O Muhammad, to you a very good stories through this, the Quran, about which you did not know before. Para 17, Surah 21, verse 5. Nay, say these verses of the Quran are muddled dreams. Nay, he saith Muhammad invented these. Nay, he is but a poet. Let him bring portents. Let him bring portents. Para 18, Surah 25, verse 4. Those who disbelieve say, this is not but a lie. He had invented the Quran, and other folk had helped him with it. So they have produced a slander and a lie. Verse 5. And they say, fables of the men of the old, which he had hath written down. So these are dictated to him morning and evening. These are dictated to him morning and evening. Para 21, Surah 29, verse 48. Thou, Muhammad, was not a reader of any scripture before the Quran, not did you write it with thy right hand, and those who doubt your false. Para 27, Surah 52, verse 33. Or say that he had invented it. Nay, but they will not believe. Verse 34. Then let them produce verses like thereof, if it they are truthful. If they are truthful. Perhaps Muhammad was left-handed writer. That is the reason the Quran said that he has not written with his right hand. The fact is that the Quran is a stolen book from the Bible. The stories which are narrated in the Quran about the prophets of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, David, Solomon, and the Jesus are the same as narrated in the text of the Bible. The Quran is a distorted form of Bible. If we just remove all the stories of the Bible from the Quran, the Quran cannot extend to the volume of more than one sipara, that is one chapter of the Quran. The text of the Quran by itself is not more than one sipara. The Quran is finished to its last end. The Quran is the other name of vulgar verbosity and repetition to the maximum extent. Muhammad was a brainless, lusty, and cunning person who was neither able to write nor read. The Quran is nothing more than the foolishness of Arab customs with their tribal laws, which are inculcated in the stories of the Bible. The Bible is a compilation of many religious books with lot of material and issues, all derogatory and contradictory to each other. Stories of the Bible were written spreading over the span of even more than 4,000 years, but the Quran, with the single stroke of pen, stole all the material in 30 foolish siparas, where the contradictions caught the fire of disharmony and non integrity. The Quran is absolutely a distorted copy of the Bible. The difference is that in the Bible, Adam and Eve ate an apple while living in the heavens, but in Quran it is written that they ate a fruit from the tree. In the Quran, the same dreams were seen by the Pharaoh and interpreted by Joseph. the same way with the same words. The Bible, which was stolen word by word by the Quran from that of the Bible. In the Bible, it is written that Abraham had taken Isaac his son for the sacrifice on the way to God, while the Quran twisted the same story by creating fabrication that Abraham had taken his other son Ishmael for that sacrifice to God in order to perform that bloody foolish ritual in the name of God. While While talking about Moses, the Quran narrated the same stories about the portents of God. Those are about the rain of frogs, locusts, and this and that. Same in the Quran as in the Bible. The only difference that every event or story mentioned in the Bible is under some heading or chapter, which is all well organized without any confusion. The refinement of writing in each new edition of the Bible, which was all done by degrees spreading through the long passage of time. Originally, the text of the Bible was written in two languages, that was Hebrew and Greek, where the contents of the Bible were meaningless and foolish, but slowly touch of refinement with the beauty of language was inculcated in the Bible by the qualified and cunning followers of God called Christians, who in fact tried to their best possible extent to hide the follies of God. While in the Quran the same stories are mentioned in scattered way, they are not under the name of harmonious chapters or titles, though the titles or chapters are named, but the context of the Quran ridiculously without any harmony or cohesion to its given title. God gets fits of frenzy in the Quran and narrates the stories whenever that fit of frenzy comes into the mind of God, even in different contexts. The stories of Adam, the stories of Adam, Eve, and Satan's Sabbath day, all of them are the same as in the Bible. So in the Quran. In the Quran, same stories are repeatedly narrated by God, all those which stood out of harmony and without reference to the context. The story of the conception of Mary and birth of Jesus in the Quran is a vulgar description. Even the Quran did not have the nerves to change the phraseology of the Bible. The example of a camel passing through the eye of the needle is given in the Bible, same way the Quran has also mentioned. Kingdom of heavens, the Garden of Eden, making the word in 6 days, all are same as in Quran as in Bible. Quran is the proof that Muhammad has just listened to the Bible and stolen it. If you wanted to know the real worth of Muhammad, then remove the stories of the Bible from the Quran. Also, remove the verbosity and repetition from the Quran. Remove the twisted sayings of Moses and Jesus, the remaining text of the Quran, which is not more than one separate chapter. That is the real worth of your prophet called Muhammad. Peace be upon his wisdom. However, if we read the stories of prophets as mentioned in the Bible and copied by the Quran, we cannot derive any moral lesson out of it. It is all perversion and misguidance, which derailed humanity from the greatest causes of discovery, invention, and human love. Thank you. We will continue in the book reading, next book readings 7, and that will be the chapter 15. And chapter 15 is God's astronomy. We will meet next time, and for the time being, see you by and ending the stream.